Hello there guys and welcome back to 100% Chelsea for my preview of the Crystal Palace versus Chelsea game, with the kickoff being at 3 PM UK time away at Selhurst Park tomorrow afternoon, obviously on Saturday. And getting straight into the preview, starting off with their opposition as I usually do. Well, Crystal Palace haven't exactly had the best start to the season. Actually, they've had the worst start to a Premier League season of all time. They've lost all of their 7 games, scored 0 goals and conceded 17. Also, they have some major injury concerns at the moment. Christian Benteke is out injured for a while. The goalkeeper Wayne Hennessy picked up a knock during international break as well and is a major doubt for the game. Although, it sounds like he hasn't been all that great conceding 17 goals. He's actually made some very good saves as well. And obviously Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who's on loan at Crystal Palace and has arguably been their best player so far this season, can't play against us either. The only basically good news for them is that Wilfried Zaha has been in training for 2 weeks now and he's now in contention to play. But as much as they've had terrible results, in some games they have been unlucky as well. Against Liverpool, for example, they lost 1-0 at Anfield and Benteke hit the bar from like inside the 6-yard box, and Palace were at least on par with Liverpool in that game. Like, they definitely deserved the draw, if not a win in that game. So as much as their record looks horrendous, they weren't that bad, and that was, to be fair, still under the old manager Frank de Boer, or De Boer, however you pronounce his name. Very confusing name. You have to take into consideration is that they've obviously now had the international break to just get used to their new manager, obviously Roy Hodgson, or Roy Hodgson if you will. Obviously, as I said, took over from Frank de Boer after 4 games. So, obviously they did have some players going out with their national teams, but, they still had some players staying with the squad to train as well. So there will certainly be an advantage. It's just the luck that we usually have. Man City played them before the international break. It's just, teams are usually better when they're struggling. International break usually does them well because they can sort themselves out and just work on the weaknesses more. But even with all of that, we should really, really win. And I'd go as far as saying that it would be an embarrassment if we don't win. We shouldn't expect to hammer them completely. It won't be as easy as some people might think it will be, but we should really win. That's why I don't like these games, because even if we win, we can't really win, if you will, because unless we beat them like 5 or 6 or 7-0, we'll just say, well, we expected this. And if we draw or lose, like I said, that will be embarrassing. There's not much more to say about Crystal Palace, to be honest. Like I said, they've had a terrible start to the season. They have some major players out injured. We should really win. But now getting to Antonio Conte's press conference, there was some very interesting news today, which is possibly the reason why most of you are watching this video. So starting off with team news. He started off with Alvaro Morata, obviously picked up that hamstring injury against Manchester City. He said Alvaro Morata is out for tomorrow's game, but he does hope to have him back very soon. He's even hoping to have him back for the game against Rome in the Champions League in midweek this week, or like next week. Then he said Danny Drinkwater is actually still out injured, who I basically expected to be back fit by now. Kante said we must be patient with him with his calf problem. It's not that easy, but he should be back fairly soon as well. And then about N'Golo Kante, possibly the biggest one out of the 3. Kante said his previous scan said that he will be out for 20 to 25 days, which would mean he would miss all of our 7 games this month, basically. Kante said he will have another scan next week because, after a week, you'd usually, do another scan to see maybe if progress has been made quicker than expected, but it's surely a big loss for us. So at the moment, we only have Bakayoko and Fabregas as the 2 available central midfielders. It's basically like at the beginning of the season when we only had Kante against Spurs. Then Bakayoko obviously came in even though he wasn't fully fit and we played David Luiz in there. Now we only have Fabregas and Bakayoko. Kante even said with 7 games in 1 month we might have to use defenders in midfield or even start youngsters like Ampadu or Scott in some games. And at the end of that he said we have to hope that we don't get any more injuries in the next 7 games because we're holding on by our teeth at the moment basically. Then Kante talked about and was asked about his future because obviously there have been so many rumours. Yeah, he wants to leave Chelsea at the end of the season. He's already made that decision. He wants to go to Milan, even though the Milan chairman has said they're not in contact with Antonio Conte. He's not on their list for new managers. And Conte said the interview he gave a few weeks ago, or last week, or whenever it was, wasn't translated properly. He only said one day in the future he would like to go back to Italy. Not now. He was talking about now. He was talking about anytime soon. He said he has 2 years left on his contract. He really enjoys working for this club. And he also loves the relationship that he has with the fans. Also, he said his family now live in England with him. His daughter goes to school in Cobham. Very close to Cobham anyway. So, he said, if people want to talk about my interviews, at least talk about them correctly and talk about what I actually said and don't just make up stories. So all of those rumours basically, oh no, Conte's leaving on, it's all bullshit. He might leave, we don't know. But what I can tell you is he has not made a decision and the board haven't made a decision that he's going to leave at the end of the season. Maybe stuff will happen, that he will leave. Maybe stuff will happen that he will sign a contract extension. We don't know. But as for now, no decision has been made on this topic whatsoever. The next question was about David Luiz, whether he will play midfield. Kante said he thinks David Luiz is very important as centre-back and one of the best in their position, so he doesn't want to change a lot. But if we play 3 midfield, might have to do that, yes, obviously, like we did against Tottenham. Then he was asked whether Batshuayi is ready to make his mark in the Premier League. He said, well, Michy started against Burnley in the first game, also in the Champions League and the League Cup, so he's in contention for tomorrow. Although to me it sounded like he was kind of hinting, well, you saw that he wasn't ready by the way he played against Burnley. But I could be wrong. I could be very wrong. You could start him tomorrow and, Michy Batshuayi will score a hat-trick and then it will start every game. Very much doubt it, but could happen. And then he talked about arguably the biggest topic of the week, Charlie Musanda's infamous Instagram post. Kante said he spoke to Musanda. He said Charlie understood his mistake, that posting what he did post wasn't right. He has to continue to improve physically and tactically. Kante told him to focus on the pitch and not on social media, which is exactly what I said, by the way, in my video. Then he was asked whether he will be disciplined for what happened. Kante said it's important to speak to young players like him, and he did speak to him, and he doesn't think there is a problem with Charlie. But he reiterated a few times, social media is not the most important thing in his career, and he has to understand that. He said he is a very good prospect to become a very good and important player for Chelsea. He wouldn't give a proper answer whether Musonda will be loaned out in January or next summer or sold or whatever. He wouldn't give an answer to that. Then he said Christensen can be a very good example for Charlie and every other youngster at Chelsea, really. Christensen had 2 good years on loan and now he's ready to play for Chelsea and improving and showing how good he is. But he said Charlie could have a good opportunity this season as we only really have 3 wingers or 3 number 10s as Kante likes to call them, obviously in Hazard, Pedro and Willian. Yeah, Kante said he has a good chance to show that he should play, with not having that many players in that position, maybe rotation, maybe injuries, he will get chances basically is what Kante hinted. And he said, because he is a very talented player. That's why he has a good chance of, playing some games and show his worth this season. But there's only if, and he reiterated that again, if his attention is more on the pitch and not on social media. And I loved it. I think he spoke about it in the perfect way. He said it was wrong what he did, but it's not like the end of the world. So there's, it's not like the door is completely shut at Chelsea for him. He wouldn't answer whether he will be going out on loan or not. So, that didn't really underline the rumour that was going around that was Charlie Musonda was told. Obviously, maybe Kante wouldn't speak about it, but maybe he would have hinted it in some way, and in my opinion, he didn't. But yeah, that's really it from the press conference. Now, talking about Chelsea, talking about how I think the game will go, how I think we will line up, and obviously also my score prediction. I mean, obviously we have some injury troubles. Only have 2 central midfielders. Our best striker is out injured in Alvaro Morata. Although against Crystal Palace, that shouldn't really hinder us from winning all too much. We still have more than good enough players to beat Palace. We still have much better players than Crystal Palace. So I think the lineup, Antonio Conte will go for is Thibaut Courtois in goal. Cesar Azpilicueta, David Luiz and Gary Cahill as the 3 centre-backs. Could be Antonio Rudiger, of course. Could be Andreas Christensen, of course. But I think those 3 are the ones that he will go with. Victor Moses and Alonso as the 2 wing-backs. Cesc Fabregas and Timur Bakayoko as the 2 central midfielders. Eden Hazard and Pedro as the 2 wingers and Michy Batshuayi up front. Obviously, as you can see on the picture, in the 3-4-3. If there was no international break and Willian didn't just come back from Brazil, I would have said we were going to play a false 9 like we did against Bournemouth last season. But Willian has never started on a Conte after the international break. Because like in September, Willian played, although in a few minutes, but he played on Wednesday morning at basically 2 AM UK time. And then obviously he still has to fly back to England from Brazil. Long flights, jet lag, and not a good combination to play at your best. Just 2 days after flying from Brazil to England. And Willian hasn't been playing well even when he wasn't jet lagged. So, I'm not sure whether being jet-lagged and tired and stuff like that would be a good combination for Willian to actually start this game. So I don't think he will. I think Michy Batshuayi will start that game. You could obviously say that maybe Cahill will be rested for the Champions League game against Roma in midweek. And, Rudiger or Christensen will play today. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe even Luiz will have to go into central midfield if we decide to go with the 3-5-2 again against Rome. Like I said, in midweek. We'll have to wait and see. It's just the lineup that I think it will go with. It might just as well be Rudiger instead of Cahill. I think that's very difficult to predict. Now, talking about how I think the game will go, I'm pretty sure the Palace will sit deep. Try to win the first point of the season, maybe hit us on the counter and get a lucky win. So it will be down to us to create, to break them down and win that game. And I'm confident that we will. With Zaha, they obviously have one of the best players back, but he was out for a while, so he won't be at his very best just yet. So I think and I hope we can keep them from scoring as well, because we just don't want to be the first team to concede against them, do we? So my score prediction is a 3-0. But yeah, that's really it for me. Leave me all of your thoughts down in the comment section below. Obviously, your thoughts on what Kante said about Musonda, what Kante said about the injuries. Morata, obviously, he might actually be back for Rome, which is incredible. People were fearing that he might be out for 2 months, which I told them straight away that he wouldn't be, but people wouldn't believe me. Anyway, then obviously Drinkwater, Kante as well. How much of a loss do you think he will be? And obviously, what's your score prediction? Leave me your predicted lineups for tomorrow's game down in the comment section below as well. Leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Subscribe to 100% Chelsea if you haven't already. Massively do appreciate that. Thank you guys for watching. I'm buzzing for the game tomorrow. I'm buzzing that the international break is finally over and the Chelsea are back to playing. Up to Chelsea. And I'll see you next time.